Hey, so Todd, step by step, beginning to end, share with us what does a digital experience look like?
I think it starts obviously with an online, good scheduler, which we all have, right? So that makes sense. But what's happened in the last 90 days has really kind of transformed the way we should think about the experience. So traditionally, we've always had, right, either the reader process or more recently, we've had obviously kiosks that help support that. But we see it kind of more of a, kind of a three-pronged process. So customers that do have an appointment, I'll take you through that very quickly, right? We need to offer them kind of three options, right? The first is to be able to check in 100% kind of mobily when they get into the drive. So, for example, when that customer is sitting at home, 24 hours prior to, they can actually initiate that check-in experience. You send them a text email with the workflow, they go through it, they can do some upsells, gives us tremendous amount of intel, but gives the consumer the control and the experience to get that QR code just like you would, when you're checking in for an airline, so they can literally scan it and go when they get there, both either kind of indoor or outdoor, right? If the customer chooses not to use that mobile check-in process, again, having the ability to come in and look themselves up and get through a check-in experience off kind of the kiosk in 2 minutes or less is really critical. Because again, I talked about this. Time is probably the most important thing to consumers. And I'll give you one example. In our Highline stores, everyone told us, when we started the business, you guys were crazy. Highline customers like to kind of have that process slow down, spend 15, 20 minutes. We actually found, the opposite happened. The reason is because if you look at your average Audi, BMW, kind of Mercedes store, and the majority of vehicles leased and sold in there are traditionally to that 30 to 40-year-old consumer, which are what? Technology, advanced. They value time. They're typically professional. So what's interesting happening, they're coming in on appointments. Most Highlines have 80-90% appointments anyways, literally checking in. Their satisfaction scores in CSI have all gone through the roofs because, again, they're catering to that customer based on how they want to be dealt with. And that's really, really important. And I think as we kind of move into the social distancing world, giving those consumers those options of kind of either the mobile check-in or kind of the kiosk element, so they're not having to work, with a human, and standing 6 feet apart is really, really critical. And then ensuring that, hey, listen, if a consumer does check in either of those two methods, but does want to meet with an advisor, we got to make sure that's accessible as well for a consumer. And I know we're hitting on time, so I want to be respectful of that, but think about that from an overall totality of your customer experience. Are you giving them fast, efficient, transparent ways to get in and out of your dealership in 2 minutes less? Big challenge I have for every GM and service director on the calls. Go sit in your drive on a Monday like today or a Saturday morning and see how long it takes a consumer to go through that process and what their feedback is.